Welcome everyone to another episode. It's your host here, Annalena, and you are in for a special treat this week. I felt very strongly called to switch things up a little bit. So instead of receiving one long episode on Tuesdays, you will receive 5 short and sweet, super transformational mini episodes Monday through Friday. So what I want to share with you guys is some of my learning lessons that I have gained over the last 6 years that I have distilled into 5 practical success tips that are especially for introverted, highly empathic people like me, like my audience. Probably you're listening, you're like, yep, that's me. And you have this desire to make an impact in the world. So either you already are an entrepreneur, maybe you still have a corporate job and you have started to already build a business on the side, or you have been having a business for quite some time already and something just feels off and you're really ready to make it more that really feels good to you and scale it in a way that, yeah, just feels aligned with your soul. And these are things that I'm going to share with you guys that I honestly wish I knew when I started a little bit over 6 years ago as an entrepreneur. And either way, I feel very thankful that I have gained this wisdom now and that I can share this with you as well, because many, many of you have asked me about this as well. Like, okay, how do you actually run a business as an introvert? So let's start with the practical success tip number one, which is all about protect your energy and remove distractions as much as you can. So this is also something when I work with my one-on-one clients, this is the first thing we work on. Like, how can we remove distractions? Because what happens very easily in today's world, especially with social media, there is so much stuff. There are so much opinions. And especially there is so much of this old way of doing business. I really call it the old way because I really feel like I'm here to build the new way. So I really have to focus on that. And the old way for me is where it's this hyper focus on money, hyper focus on quick success, on these secret formulas, on these 5-step processes that are guaranteed to work, and also a very high pressure environment in terms of how do you have to show up and constantly almost like every day be on social media and do things that don't really feel aligned for you, but that's the way how you have to do it in this day and age. And also often these high pressure offers where you have this fear of missing out being triggered, and then you find yourself, signing up for things left and right, and you just feel like, oh my gosh, this was another thing that didn't feel right to me. And so we get very frustrated, and often we get to a point of like, well, I'm not cut for this. I was there many times where I thought that I have to be like this old way. And I was even putting people on a pedestal that were modeling something to me that I thought that's how it has to be, but it just never felt right in the core of my being. Just like when I was in college, so I studied business administration and I always had the most amazing grades. And, I felt good over that. I felt proud of myself, but I compared myself a lot to my peers in college that landed these amazing internships and then also jobs later on, often for these like consulting firms, McKinsey, Bain, Boston Consulting Group. And for some reason, I knew deep inside, this is just not for me. And I did a couple of internships in the consulting field for some smaller firms. And for the life of it, I was just like, I really don't think this is for me. So I felt very already in college, like, I don't know, is this the planet I'm supposed to be on? I feel like I was already living in a different world, but it didn't quite exist, and I'm here to create it. And of course, I was always thinking there's something wrong with me. So especially, if you're listening right now, if that kind of rings a bell for you, like, well, what's wrong with me? Let's go into this because there's nothing wrong with you. When you're a highly empathic person, you can feel and sense things, right? So we can almost smell from a million miles away if something is out of integrity, if something just feels off. And that's definitely the case for me. But again, I thought always there was something wrong with me until I later on learned that these are really my gifts. So what I really invite you to protect your energy and remove distractions is like take a little bit of time and really get clear on your values. What do you stand for? What feels good to your nervous system? And this doesn't have to be what I just described. It is more for me. Make that clear for yourself. I'm just going to give you also some more inspiration. So for me, when I consume content, when I work with mentors, I cannot be in like a high pressure environment. There has to be this energy of like, they really care for me. It's more about my transformation than them just making some quick money. And also this energy of like, I have the space and the time that I can find my own way. There's not this like high pressure environment. And integrity is just huge for me, right? When, people offer something and then I work with them, and once I paid, it's like, okay, this was kind of over promise, under deliver kind of situation. It just really throws me off. And I often found myself then actually like I was giving so much energy to these containers, and I always was like, well, I should get paid for this because I'm coaching everyone here and I'm giving so much value. So anyways, it was also a gift because I started to realize like, wow, like my energy is actually very valuable. I actually learned this through some of those a little bit disappointing experiences over time. So with that, get really clear on where your precious energy can go, you know? And what I have noticed is that the more content I have consumed in the past, the more I lost my energy because it was literally like I was pulled here and there. This is what you have to do. And this is this and this, and so loud. Everybody was getting louder and louder. And I was just like, oh my gosh. I was 5% here, 2% there, 3% there. And I felt like I just got more disconnected by the minute from myself. And I had to realize that my energy, my values is absolutely top priority. So with that, over time, I started to remove more and more distraction. Of course, this was like a process that took many years. I think just this last year, I have taken more radical steps here where I really like unfollowed massively people because I really got to the point where my energy couldn't tolerate it anymore when I just saw one post that I felt was super out of integrity or was pushy or was like just this hyped up stuff that I just no longer resonate with. And I didn't want to make it bad or complain about it because I'm not here to change people, right? Or tell them what they should do or not do. It's more about, okay, somehow this is in my life. If I want to change it, I have to change what I'm giving my energy to, right? Because maybe those offers, they're perfect for some other people. That's not mine to judge in any way or form, but I have to honor what feels good to me. So that was an absolute game changer for me. And also, so this includes like unsubscribing from too many emails, from too many social media accounts. Also, maybe you are enrolled in too many products and offers and you're not really anywhere. Because when you sign up, for example, for a program or coaching with a person, it's not just the money you invest there. That's actually the small part. It's like the energy you give to that, right? So when you sign up for something, really make always sure that you have the capacity to actually do that. Because if you have way too many things going on at the same time, most likely you're not going to be able to really show up there. So unsubscribe from those things where maybe also you signed up for something in the past and you just feel like, well, I paid for it, but I have to be there, but it's so misaligned. I would rather cut my losses and say, this is not good for me. And instead, I'm going to dedicate my 100% or my 50%, if you have two different things, onto one thing that really, really aligns with my values. And I really feel like this is a place of integrity and where I can really be myself, you know? The other thing is, as an empath, so with your energy, people naturally can sense your kindness, your empathy, and ask you for advice, ask you for guidance, and things like that, right? So Or also, you get probably also invited at some point into many things. That happened for me in the beginning a lot. And what happened with me in the beginning, I just said yes to way too many things. And then also, and I still sometimes have to be careful with that, where I was like, like, really, like, was this really, really aligned for my energy? I could have set more boundaries here, right? So, when invitations come your way, or people want to collaborate with you, or they want to have you on the podcast, or whatever this is, really always take a pause and check in with you. Do I have the energy? Do I want to give my energy to this? Is this really aligned? And with that, there is one big fear that will most likely come up that is going to be a game changer when you're aware of it, is the fear of rejection. It's probably the biggest one for me always. I have done, I think, a full podcast episode just about that. I work with most of my clients on this fear because we don't want to upset people. We don't want to disappoint people, right? And we also, most often as empath, we very much dislike when there is kind of like tension in a relationship, when there's like this like emotional energy amplified, and we just don't like that. Like confrontation is something we really like to avoid. People pleasing comes into that, right? So, but when you keep saying yes to way too many things, and oftentimes it's also, it feels charming, like, oh my God, I'm getting invited into everything. And we say yes, yes, yes to all these things. And then we end up promoting everybody else's stuff, but you don't really focus your energy on what you are here to create and put out into the world. So find a good balance with that, because it is great to collaborate with other people. It is great to promote other people's things, like summits. I've been part of so many. But when it gets too much, you're just constantly promoting everybody else's stuff and you're not focusing on your things. And as an introvert and empath, sometimes that is very easy to fall into, because when we focus more on our stuff, we have to get more out of our comfort zone. And we're going to talk about this more in some of the other videos, because it means you have to show up more, you have to market yourself more, and it's always so much easier and comfy to give your energy to something, to market something else, right? So this is about setting healthy boundaries, and also realize that when you say yes to too many other things because you have a fear of rejection, really what happens is you're rejecting yourself, because you're just not honoring your energy. You're just giving it all away everywhere to help and save everybody else, right? Just not to really focus on your lane. So prioritize what nourishes you and where you feel that your energy is most valued and also most needed in terms of the impact that you are here to create. Because I always want to remind you, you have a very, very special gift, especially those of you that are highly intuitive, highly empathic. You can sense things and how the future is changing so quickly, right? There are so many people in this world that feel so lost. And the more sensitive to the needs of certain groups of people and humanity in general we can be, yeah, the more we can actually change the world together with that. And if you just give your energy too much away to all this other stuff, which is kind of still all very much the old paradigm, you're not going to have that focus there. And usually what I find happening there is then we create unnecessary challenges for ourselves. So with that, I want to leave you for today. I think you have a lot of things to reflect on. I definitely invite you to journal on it. If you're watching this here on YouTube, I would love to hear in the comments, what has been your biggest takeaway? Where did you feel the most called out? What is one little thing you would like to change going forward to protect your energy and to remove distractions so that you can be more in your zone of genius, helping people and really creating and yeah, changing the world from your authentic essence. And tomorrow, I'm very excited already. We're going to talk about the next practical success tip that will only work really when you implement this first step of like really protecting your energy and setting healthy boundaries. Thank you for your time. I really honor your energy. I really appreciate it. And I'm very excited to be with you all tomorrow for success tip number 2.